Some cars are remembered for their legacy, others for their performance. But there's a special category of cars that spark curiosity and controversy, the ones you can't drive anymore. Whether due to environmental regulations, safety concerns, policy changes, or the manufacturer pulling the plug, these vehicles have been pushed out of our roads, sometimes quietly, sometimes explosively. It's not always because they were dangerous. Sometimes they were ahead of their time or simply caught in the crossfire of stricter emissions and safety laws. You might have grown up seeing some of these models on the streets, or even dreamt of owning one, and now they're banned, discontinued, or blacklisted in specific cities, countries, or regions. Today, we're diving into 13 such cars, and the surprising reasons they're no longer allowed. Some bans are official, others are circumstantial, but all of them tell a deeper story about how regulations, technology, and even politics shape what we drive. Let's get into it. Delhi NCR, Europe, Zermatt. In the heart of India's capital region, a bold and controversial decision changed the way people saw their cars. Delhi NCR, battling some of the worst air pollution levels globally, introduced a sweeping vehicle age ban. Diesel vehicles older than 10 years and petrol vehicles older than 15 years were declared illegal to operate within the region. The rule applied regardless of how well maintained the vehicle was. It was a direct and unapologetic move to clear the air. The impact was immediate. Roads that once echoed with the rumble of powerful diesel engines became quieter, and some of the most beloved cars among enthusiasts and families alike suddenly found themselves unwanted and unsellable in the region. Toyota Fortuner, first-generation diesel. This SUV was once a badge of power. Whether navigating city traffic or heading into the Himalayas, the Toyota Fortuner delivered confidence. It was rugged, dependable, and highly respected. Owners loved its muscular design and commanding presence. But under the new policy, every Fortuner that crossed the 10-year diesel limit was grounded. Even models in mint condition had to be sold out of state or scrapped entirely. It was a dramatic fall for one of India's most popular SUVs. Mitsubishi Pajero SFX. This machine was built to take on anything. With its distinctive looks and off-road capability, the Pajero SFX was the choice for those who wanted something that could handle the rough with style. But it had an old-school diesel engine that didn't align with modern emission standards. Owners who treasured their Pajeros for decades found themselves with a vehicle they could no longer use legally. For many, it felt like saying goodbye to a trusted old friend. Honda Accord V6. Not many sedans delivered power with polish the way the Honda Accord V6 did. It combined luxury features with a thrilling V6 engine, something rare in Indian cars at the time. But time caught up. As these cars aged past 15 years, Delhi NCR no longer allowed them to run. The ban did not care about performance or condition, it only cared about age. And the Accord V6, despite being ahead of its time in many ways, had to bow out. Skoda Laura and the second-generation Superb. These sedans were once status symbols for those who appreciated German engineering. The ride quality, interior comfort, and performance made them top choices in the premium sedan segment. But most variants were powered by diesel engines, and as the 10-year rule struck, these cars were labeled non-compliant. Owners were shocked. These were not outdated machines. In many ways, they still outclassed newer rivals, but the rule was absolute. Volkswagen Cross Polo and Ford Fiesta. Compact, sharp, and fun to drive. The Cross Polo's diesel variant and the Ford Fiesta were cars that made everyday driving enjoyable. The Fiesta, in particular, had one of the best steering responses in its class. But enjoyment didn't matter in the face of regulation. The ban removed them from Delhi NCR roads without exception. Car enthusiasts, especially those who loved driving for the sake of driving, lost two of their favorites overnight. BS4, Safari Decor, and the Hyundai Santa Fe. These cars were markers of aspiration at one time. The BS4 offered size and presence at a compact sedan price. The Tata Safari Decor brought with it the spirit of exploration. The Hyundai Santa Fe brought international styling and comfort to Indian buyers. But all of them had aged out of favor. Discontinued from production and now illegal due to their age, they could no longer survive in the new emission-conscious landscape of Delhi. Beyond the ban, a ripple effect. This rule did more than just remove cars from the road. It forced people to rethink their relationship with the vehicles. The used car market took a sudden shift. Sellers rushed to offload their aging but functional vehicles to buyers in other states. Others had to scrap them, watching years of care and investment vanish. It also brought attention to the environmental cost of aging vehicles, sparking wider interest in cleaner alternatives and newer technologies. Europe's low-emission zones. In Europe, the approach is slightly different but just as strict. Many cities have created low-emission zones and ultra-low-emission zones. These areas either restrict or heavily penalize vehicles that pollute more, especially older diesel models. Madrid, Spain, has put firm restrictions in place. Diesel cars registered before 2006 are not allowed in many central areas. These zones are monitored, and violation means heavy fines. No special treatment is given, even if the car is luxury branded. Paris, France uses the Crit Air sticker system to classify vehicles by emission levels. Cars are ranked from 0 to 5, and older vehicles don't qualify for entry during many times of the day. The system has effectively pushed out older models from the city center. Oslo, Norway, goes even further. With high tolls and policies discouraging diesel use, owning a traditional combustion engine vehicle in the city is becoming financially impractical. Electric vehicles dominate the roads here, and diesel variants of even high-end German brands are being phased out quickly. In these cities, having a high-performance or luxury car does not help if the emissions are too high. If the car fails to meet standards, it stays out of the city. Period. Zermatt, Switzerland. Some places take an entirely different approach. Zermatt in Switzerland is one such example. This mountain town has completely banned all conventional cars. Only small electric taxis and approved service vehicles are allowed. The goal is total preservation of air quality and the serene natural environment. There is no permit you can apply for, no exception for vintage classics or expensive luxury models. If your car runs on petrol or diesel, it stays outside. Visitors park in neighboring towns and take trains into Zermatt. It's a bold and rare approach that works only because of the town's size and location. But it sets a powerful example of what's possible when environmental goals are taken seriously. One trend, many forms. Whether it's the outright age-based bans of Delhi NCR, the emissions-based restrictions of Europe, or the no-car zones of towns like Zermatt, the trend is impossible to ignore. Cities around the world are done tolerating older, more polluting vehicles. It doesn't matter how powerful the engine is, how luxurious the interior feels, or how carefully the car was maintained. The road rules are changing. For those who love cars, it's a difficult adjustment. Watching favorite machines disappear from city roads is tough, but it's also a sign of progress. Cleaner air, quieter streets, and healthier cities are the new goals. This is more than just a policy shift. It's a transformation of how we define mobility, status, and responsibility. The message from cities across the globe is unified and strong. If a vehicle cannot meet today's environmental expectations, it no longer belongs in the cities of tomorrow. Bans on new car sales and ICE phase-outs. Across the globe, countries are taking bold steps to phase out new petrol and diesel vehicles. This shift signals a major turning point for the auto industry. While older vehicles are not being banned just yet, the focus is now firmly on stopping the sale of new internal combustion engine cars. The message is clear. The future belongs to electric. Norway, racing ahead. Norway is leading the charge with a national goal to sell only zero-emission cars from 2025. That deadline is not far off, and the country is already close to achieving it. More than 80% of new cars sold in Norway are electric. Government incentives, widespread charging infrastructure, and strong public support have all helped this transition. The result is a country showing the rest of the world what is possible when policy and public interest align. United Kingdom, 2035. Deadline. The United Kingdom has committed to banning the sale of new petrol and diesel cars by 2035. The initial goal was 2040, but it was moved up to speed up climate action. Starting in 2030, only hybrids will be allowed for 5 years, after which even they will be phased out. Major brands like Jaguar and Bentley are preparing by pledging all-electric lineups within the next few years. This decision is reshaping the automotive supply chain across the country. France, Spain, Canada, South Korea, Japan. Several other major economies have declared similar plans. France and Spain are aiming for 2040, while Japan and South Korea are targeting the 2035 to 2040 range. Canada has set its goal at 2035. These timelines might seem distant, but they are already affecting what manufacturers choose to produce today. In many of these countries, large cities have started restricting access for fossil fuel vehicles in urban zones. The goal is not just cleaner cars, but cleaner cities. India, state-level action. India has not announced a national ban yet, but state-level policies are already driving the shift. Delhi, for example, has introduced rules to electrify public transport and delivery fleets. New commercial licenses for two-wheelers in the capital are being issued only for electric vehicles. Local policies are slowly pushing petrol and diesel vehicles out of key sectors. Meanwhile, manufacturers like Tata and Mahindra are increasing their electric offerings in response to growing demand. Glasgow Declaration. Global alignment. At the COP26 Climate Summit, the Glasgow Declaration created global momentum. Many countries and car companies signed an agreement to make all new car and van sales zero-emission by 2035 in leading markets and by 2040 worldwide. While not every major player signed, the declaration showed how fast things are changing. This move put pressure on companies and governments to align their strategies with a low-carbon future. Manufacturers are moving fast. Car brands are not waiting for laws to take effect. They are already cutting back on diesel models and investing heavily in electric platforms. Volvo plans to go all-electric by 2030. General Motors has committed to selling only zero-emission vehicles by 2035. Even performance brands like Porsche and Lamborghini are developing electric models. Market demand is shifting, and no company wants to be left behind. The shift has already begun. This is not a distant idea. It is happening now. Electric vehicles are no longer niche. They are going mainstream. Cities, countries, and car makers are all pushing in the same direction. The petrol and diesel age is ending, not suddenly, but with purpose and precision. Buyers today are already thinking about resale value, charging options, and future-proof choices. The global push to go electric is real, and it is only getting stronger. In 2020, India made a massive leap in emissions regulation, going straight from BS4 to BS6, skipping BS5 entirely. It wasn't just a technical upgrade, it was a nationwide shake-up that impacted car buyers, automakers, and the used vehicle market all at once. The Bharat Stage Norms, India's version of global emission standards, are designed to limit pollutants released from internal combustion engines. When the government enforced BS6 from April 1, 2020, it meant that all new vehicles had to meet much stricter emissions limits. This affected every manufacturer and left older cars with little to no support. Why was BS6 such a big deal? BS6 norms required engines to be significantly cleaner. Diesel vehicles, in particular, had to reduce nitrogen oxide emissions by over 70%. That required major re-engineering. Petrol engines had to adopt better fuel injection systems and stricter catalytic converters. The fuel itself had to change, too. BS6-grade fuel contains much lower sulfur content, which directly affects vehicle emissions and engine life. For manufacturers, this wasn't just a tweak to existing engines. It often required complete redesigns, testing, and certification. Some models were not worth the investment to upgrade, especially low-volume or aging platforms. As a result, many popular vehicles were phased out silently, not because they stopped selling, but because they couldn't comply. BS4 and BS3 cars, the vanishing act. BS4 cars were immediately at a disadvantage. Though not banned outright, they faced higher taxes, dropping resale values, and restrictions in certain states. In major metro areas like Delhi NCR, the shift to BS6 made BS4 vehicles less attractive in the used market. BS3 vehicles were practically erased. No support, no resale value, and in many urban areas, no road access. Even well-maintained BS3 models became unsellable. Scrapping became the only option. It was a clear sign that emissions compliance wasn't just about new car buyers anymore. It affected every owner on the road. Honda Jazz Diesel. The Honda Jazz was a practical premium hatchback that found a loyal fan base. Its diesel variant offered great fuel efficiency and highway performance. But when BS6 arrived, the ID Tech diesel engine didn't make the cut. Updating it to meet the new norms would have required an expensive redesign. And for a hatchback in a shrinking diesel segment, the cost wasn't justifiable. Honda quietly dropped the Jazz Diesel from the lineup. The petrol version survived for a while, but the damage was done. Buyers looking for diesel efficiency had to look elsewhere. Ford Ecosport. The Ford Ecosport was a pioneer. It helped kick off the compact SUV trend in India and had a strong fan base. But its story ended abruptly. First, Ford decided to exit the Indian market due to financial restructuring. But emissions regulations played a key role behind the scenes. Updating older engines for BS6 wasn't just about meeting standards. It also meant new investment, testing, and time, something Ford wasn't willing to commit to while rethinking its India strategy. The EcoSport, once a showroom favorite, disappeared from the future roadmap. Tata Safari decor. For many Indians, the Tata Safari was more than just an SUV. It was a symbol of power, presence, and road dominance. The decor version had a strong fan base, especially among long-distance travelers. But when BS6 came into play, the die-core engine couldn't keep up. The engine platform was too old to meet the new norms without a full rebuild. Tata made a strategic choice. Instead of trying to update the old model, They introduced an all-new Safari based on the more modern Harrier platform. The legendary name survived, but the classic engine did not. Maruti SX4. Maruti's SX4 was once a statement of success. It offered a larger body, a raised stance, and a powerful engine for its time. But as the years rolled on, it aged beyond the 15-year petrol limit enforced in places like Delhi NCR. On top of that, no BS6 version was developed. The car had already been discontinued, and there was no plan to revive it under the new emissions regime. That meant owners were hit with a double blow: age restrictions and non-compliance with BS6. Even well-kept SX4s found themselves unwanted in resale markets. More than just emissions, BS6 was about much more than just pollution control. It forced the industry to modernize at a rapid pace. Older platforms had to be abandoned. New investments were focused on modular platforms, cleaner engines, and electric alternatives. The result was a silent revolution. Vehicles that once defined entire categories were quietly retired. Others were reborn under stricter, cleaner standards. For the buyer, this meant more efficient engines and cleaner air, but also reduced options in some segments, especially diesels. The BS6 era marked a turning point in India's automotive evolution, where staying on the road meant keeping up with the times. Since 2012, over 5.35 million cars in India alone have been recalled due to safety concerns. This doesn't ban the car immediately, but it puts a spotlight on dangerous design flaws. Common reasons for recall: faulty airbags, like the infamous Takata scandal, brake system failures, steering issues, emissions cheating. Remember Dieselgate? While owners are expected to get repairs, some cars face de facto bans, insurance problems, registration refusals, and resale clinical issues. For example, Volkswagen diesel cars, pre-2016. Due to the Dieselgate emissions scandal, several VW diesels were found to emit far more NOx than permitted. While not officially banned in many places, they're restricted or blacklisted in emission-conscious cities. Ford Fiesta. Not just affected by Ford's exit, but also by recurring issues with its dual-clutch gearbox. Combine that with age restrictions in Delhi, and the Fiesta is unofficially buried. Hyundai Santa Fe. The premium SUV was recalled globally multiple times for issues like faulty steering, brake fluid leaks, and engine stalling. Combine that with low sales and age, and it's now history. And there you have it, 13 cars that have been banned, restricted, or forced off the roads. Some due to pollution rules, some due to safety, and others simply because companies walked away. What we drive is changing fast. Fossil fuels are on their way out. Safety is stricter. Environmental awareness is growing, and cars that once defined luxury, power, or adventure are now fading into the past. But here's a question for you. Should cars like the Honda Accord V6 or Mitsubishi Pajero SFX really be banned? Or should there be a way to preserve them for enthusiasts and collectors? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Like this video if you learned something new. Comment below with your favorite banned car. Subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the world of cars, policies, and automotive culture. Whether you're into old-school classics or the latest EVs, we've got something for every kind of gearhead. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.